Live. What's up? What's up? Where's my coffee? It's right here. What do we got here? Dennis, Chris, Iron Horse, Electro Omega, and Dennis, and Jack, and Strato, and OK, and Nelson, and Mark, and Frank, of course. And, of course, we got John Clark, Pete Brown, of course, Winston. What's up? Howdy. Graham, Susie. How you doing? Got Tony. Got Straw Pete. Got Ed, of course. Ed. Classic Ed. Electro Omega. Might have said that already. Rob S. What's up? Cyanide Junkie. Heavy Metal. Going a little faster now. Headstock. Harem. Richard. Friedrich. Greetings, Germany. And Juan Blanco, of course. What's up, Rock Nutter? Gary Davlin, Michael D. What's up, dudes? Larry George. It's hot 94. Yeah, it was, it wasn't too bad here, but today it definitely took a little ride up. And they say tomorrow it builds even more, and then by Monday it should be the hottest of like a 3 or 4 day stretch. And then we might be back down into like the mid 80s, but we're going to be in the mid 90s for like 3 or 4 days now. I'm not a fan. That's when I run to the basement. What's up, Hot Shot? Tactical 6-string. What's up, Quentin James? Mark from Seal Beach, of course. And Yeti, what's up? And Pete. Saw Pete go by real quick. JJ Axman. And Anthony Bowling. And Queensryche. Yeah, Larry says it's too hot. I agree. It is too hot. Oh, thanks, Alex. Alex says, you're the man. Well, why didn't Gibson sue Ibanez over that guitar? They did. I think what happened was they sued over it, and then Ibanez changed the headstock, right? Didn't have the Gibson headstock anymore. They had the diamond and the whole. Pretty much the headstock. The only thing that was really changed was the name, and it was a bolt-on. Although some were not. Some weren't bolt-on. But they did, and then this was sort of a transitional model where they went to the new headstock, but they kept the body the same. I want to say it was just 2 years of this with the headstock and the body. So 74 and 75, it's like the pretty much the Gibson headstock with the diamond and the whole shebang. It's like 74 and 75. 76, they changed to this. They keep the body, but they go to the new headstock for 76 and 77, and then 78, the whole thing's changed. It got hot. Exactly, Ed. What's up, Terry? Yeah, it got hot here. It wasn't too bad. It had been hot, but then it cooled off. It wasn't too bad. I mean, when I say cooled off, I mean like high 70s. When you're peaking out at like 81, that's pretty good for around here in the summer, in July. Especially if you peaked out at like when it's lower, it's always like overcast or rainy. It's the only way you can get cold temperatures. The sun is just too strong. When the sun is out, you're in the 80s, period. But no, the other thing we had is, don't forget, we're by the ocean. And we've been getting a lot of, almost always in the summer, we push off of land to the ocean. Like the wind off the land is much stronger. And it's warm, right? It's hot. It's out of the south or it's out of the west. But this year we've had a bunch of times where it's sort of been coming in either straight south, which goes over the ocean, right? Or instead of southwest, which is like our worst one, right? Because that's coming up out of like pretty much, like Washington, D.C., and that's always hot and muggy. But yeah, this year we had a lot of like sea to land movement. It's kind of kept us relatively cooler, though pretty muggy. God, it was so friggin' muggy here recently. I hate that. I almost hate that even worse than the heat. Humidity only 35% in New Hampshire. Yeah, I know. It was like, we were like 83 and like 76%. It was pretty. It's up there. It's like probably a dew point of like 72, 73, something like that. Freaking. So how you guys doing? You've been staying in? I've been mostly staying in, for the most part, if I can. Doing a little yard work to get out, but for the most part, staying in the house whenever I can, unless I have to go somewhere to do some work. But other than that, it's been pretty much here. Yeah, heat isn't as bad as muggy. I agree, Michael. Michael says heat's not. It's less than muggy. I agree. Muggy can really go. I see my cats ready for some AC/DC. Yeah, we'll get into it in a little bit. We just are 7 minutes in. God, let me give him a few sips. We'll all get into that. I just out of show of hands here, because I know there's some younger people. How many people remember the summer of 1980? I was 14. So the summer of 1980 is quite vivid. And it kind of led up to me actually getting this guitar. I get this guitar, not this exact guitar, but almost this exact guitar. It looks exactly the same and same pickups. I purposely redid this guitar to look like the one I had. And it was an Ibanez cream-colored, custom. What do they call this? Like, is this a 50... like the 5283 or some stupid number, like, Ibanez, they always have the terrible numbers. Or 2380. I don't even know. We just call them Les Paul Customs. And, yeah, this guitar, I want to say I got in September of 1980. And I swear to God, Back in Black was a huge friggin' part of that push. We're seeing 10, we're seeing 8.4. You probably don't remember it. 10, you might remember it. 1 year away from being alive. I remember, same age as me. Yeah, 14. Yeah, summer 1980. It was 20, so you definitely remember it. 12, you'll remember it without a doubt. 26, of course. You might want to forget it. It's a rough year if you were trying to buy gasoline. Yeah, 1980. Yeah, 1980 Catholic school, 8th grade, same here. I graduated 8th grade, right? Um, that was my Catholic school. I went on to a Catholic high school. We're seeing a lot on here. I was 2, so you're less likely to remember it. Yeah, some people 14, 16. Yeah, that's in the zone. You know? Yeah, 27 there. There you go. A couple people 27, 16, 13, 6, 22, 20. Yeah, I was 14. And Juan Blanco says he did his math right. He was 23. All right. Might have to think about it a second. Devin says he was 20. All right. Rocknado 22. Daniel said he was 13. Spiral was 26. All right. Lord GP was -2. He had 2 years to go. He was neither sperm nor egg at the moment. I was 9 into the Phillies. Sure. A lot of 9-year-olds are into sports. Absolutely. Remember the summer of 1980 very well. Oh, I remember a lot about 1980. Yeah, 1980. I'd have to think about it, but it would all come back to me. What's up, EV Ninja? JP Devlin says he was 16 in 1980. Grand Vanzini says he was 28. Nick was -7. Graham was 7. 7, that's not, maybe. 18, of course. Yeah, I'm like 88, exactly. 88 and a half. Don't sell me short. But I have the legs of an 82-year-old. Dennis says 21. JJ says 9. Hey, we got to worry. A lot of people that remember. Tony was 15. 15. Yeah, I was 14. 7 years old. That's pretty young. I think once you get under 10, it's going to be harder to sort of maybe remember a new album that came out. It depends. If you had older brothers and sisters, then you might, right? Especially if they were very influential. I had an older sister, but she was listening to friggin', Donny Osmond, for Christ's sakes. Yet, when we were out, and it did come back because we were at a thing, and they yelled out, we're going to do anyone want to guess what the song is from the Osmonds? And I yelled out, Crazy Horses. And then they go, this is Crazy Horses. And all my friends were like, ah! I said, dude, Osmonds, come on. It's the only rock song they ever had, Crazy Horses. JP 17. Daryl says he's 14. Billy Joel was big that summer. He was. Billy Joel had been big now for a couple of years before that, though. Really about 77, he really took off. 78, 79, Jesus. And then 80 was is that the Christy Brinkley year? 80? Yeah, I wish it was 80, 1980 again. Fuck 2020. I'm with you, brah. Matt says he was born in 1980, so. Yeah, 1980 Caddyshack. So let me try and go to the Wayback Machine and think about 1980. 1980, probably, I remember that winter, that January. I had a new favorite band, Pink Floyd. And just a few months before that, I want to say it was right around Christmas, right before Christmas. It was a very cold winter. And we had a river down the street from us. Technically it's a canal. In fact, it's the oldest man-made canal. Canal, by definition, is man-made. That would be redundant. But you know what I'm saying. It's the oldest canal. And in the United States. And it was built to connect like the Charles River to the Neponset River so they could get some water flow and set up a bunch of mills. And at a couple of points, it goes out into large areas, and that froze like solid, like all over. I totally remember that in 1980. And I remember hanging down at the river on the ice. That winter was so freaking cold, 79 to 80. So we're talking like January 1980. And I remember this dude like turning me on like a few weeks earlier to Pink Floyd's The Wall. And he was like, dude, this album is so badass. You know, he was like singing, you know, oh no, all just bricks in the wall. And I was like, what fucking song is that? And he's like, oh, it's the new Pink Floyd album, man. It's unbelievable. And I ran right out and got it. So I am like firmly like into Pink Floyd in like January of 1980. I'm probably, if I remember correctly, somehow, and I have no explanation for this, eating those like Hall's Mentholyptus, like winter things, I got so addicted to those. I was chowing those like nonstop. I remember that in that winter. Listening to that album, sucking on a friggin' Hall's Mentholyptus. Right, at like age 14. Right, not even. At that point, I'm 13. And then in March, I turn 14. It's my senior year at St. Anne's, you know, Catholic, part of the Boston Archdiocese of Schools. And I graduate from St. Anne's and pretty happy about it. I'd been there since first grade and was pretty sick of going there. And I'm all set to go to this all-boys private prep school like the following year, the following fall. And, like, you know, pretty much everyone in my class all wound up going to some sort of Catholic high school. And so did I. And so, I get out of school, and we get out like a little early. So that spring, God, our teacher had a big blowout. I want to say it was in my senior year. The teacher had a blowout like with the principal, and he quit like halfway through the year. And all of a sudden, a guy who had been there for as long as I could remember was gone. I remember girls were like crying. And, you know, so that was like bizarreness, right? My 8th grade teacher, like just suddenly quitting like halfway through the school year. And he was ripped. They had a new principal in there, and he did not like her, and they didn't get along, and something happened. He's like, I'm leaving. I'm not even going to the end of the school year. I'm leaving now. So he's out. We get like a new substitute in, and pretty much for the rest of the spring, we're going to like friggin' baseball fields. So like you're in 8th grade, you're graduating. It was like the most ridiculous non-education ever. Just to set the scene, right? And he was good. He was a good instructor, but God, she was terrible. They brought this woman in. No one respected her. It was horrible. Anyway, we get to the spring, and we wind up pretty much limping to the end. I'm just thinking back to 1980, and spring comes, and I don't have a nice guitar. In fact, I'm not even really playing guitar at that point. I had taken a couple of years off. I hadn't played since really like 78, 77 even maybe, and it's like 1980. I started in 72. I had taken lessons through 76, and I played through another year or so. Then I just sort of, you know, started losing interest or whatever, and no one was forcing me to play, and I took some time off. But I think starting with Pink Floyd's The Wall, I was really starting to take an interest in like playing guitar again, you know? Just like, or at least not like practicing, like doing something, learning something. So, that spring we get out of school, and we we I remember it's like the only time in my life I've ever done this. I went down to the barber shop. I got a crew cut. I've never had a crew cut in my life. And I was just, you know what? I was just so over like St. Anne's. I was just so done with that school. Like I said, I'd been there for 8 years. And which, you know, when you're 14, that's a big percentage. It's a big percentage of your life. So I was just like, you know, I was ready, you know, and so I went, and it was hot. My parents never had air conditioning. Please. Even if we had it, my mother would never run it. That's for rich people. Never going to happen. So I remember going down, and a lot of my friends were getting crew cuts. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to get a freaking crew cut. And I remember getting a crew cut, and we had been going up and down the river. Remember I told you the whole river had frozen, not just the basin at the end. And then it narrows, it goes over a waterfall, it narrows again, it goes down a while, goes over another waterfall, it narrows again, it widens out, it narrows again, it goes to another waterfall. I mean, this was all man-made, like literally in the early 1600s. And we had been skating up the river, and at a big chunk of the river, it's on the ass end of a cemetery. And where some part of the cemetery, and again, this is a vantage point you wouldn't have unless you're in a canoe. And what we figured out was there was some part of the cemetery that was much farther away from the river and from the houses. It was sort of like an isolated part of the river. And that is a good place for a fort. And we were like, we need a daytime apartment. Right? So we were like, we need a fort, right? So we start building the fort. And I remember we was on the riverbank, and we're clearing out like a whole bunch of brush, right? And it's the springtime, right? So it's already like May. Things are really starting to grow in, right? We had been going up there all winter, and it was pretty sparse. But now it's like, you know, it's getting into May, and things are growing in, and we've got to like clear things out. And as this is going on, and it's turning into June, everything around us is growing in like crazy. We're like, oh, geez, this is pretty. And we built in this little area, and we cleared out this area like right above like the edge of the riverbank. And I remember we were out there. It was a June day, and it's hot. It's wicked hot there, hot shot. And we had just cleared out this big area, and we had these stones, and we had taken the stones and sort of rolled them to the end, and we rolled them down the end of the river, and we were just so hot. And I remember we said, oh, let's take a little break. And we took a break, and I was leaning against a tree in the sun, and I just remember like dreaming about like hearing like rustling in leaves. Apparently I'd passed out, and I rolled down the embankment, and from heat exhaustion, the sun, and because I remember standing in the sun and just closing my eyes saying, wow, it was really hot, and just rolling down the embankment and cracking my head on one of the stones we had just rolled into the river and cutting the back of my head open pretty good. And getting up and going to you know, the water has a funny way snapping you out of it, waking you out of it. And I jumped up, you know, and the river, you know, was only up to my knees. And I jumped up, and my friend goes, dude, you passed out. And I was like, oh, and I made my way back up to the plateau again. And I go, oh, you got to go find my glasses. And he goes, I'll get them. Hold on. He goes down. I see him down. He's fishing for it. He goes, I got them. Pulls my glasses out of the river. Brings them back up. And I go, oh, man. I reach around the back of my head, and I pull it over, and there's like a little blood in my hand. And I go, oh, man, I think I hurt my head. I go, and I turn around. I go, what do you think? He goes, oh, my God. Talk about me. He goes, run. Go home right now. I was like, that's probably not what you want to hear. You know, at that moment, I was like, holy, what? He goes, go right now. Go home. I was like, okay. And so I start walking home. And there was a guy who rented a building, used to keep his gear in there, right? He was a landscaper. And I told you, these rivers were along factories. One of the factories is going, but they have like an old building across the street, and they're using that building as like just storage, like literally for like landscaping. And I walk through, and he sees me, and he can see like sort of a look on my face, and I'm a little wet. And when I walk past him, he goes, hey, you okay? He probably sees the gash in the back of my head. And he's like, are you all right? I'm like, I think I'm fine. I think I'm fine. And I walk back up to my house, just like another 5-minute walk, maybe 8-minute walk. I get up to my house. I walk in the back. I go, we got to go to the hospital. And I'm all in a panic. My dad looks at me, he goes, you're fine. We're going to go to the hospital, but you're fine. It's a big nothing. And I'll leave it. I will say this about my dad. He would not panic. He did not. He's like, it's a nothing. We'll go over you can need a couple of stitches. You'll be fine. And he goes, you got a cut in the back of your head. It's nothing. And we got in the car, and we drove over to the hospital. And I think I got 6 stitches in the back of my head. Close Humpty Dumpty back up again. And so that's my spring in 1980. So we get the fort done. And this is around this time of the year, right? So now it's around mid-July. The fort's got 2 rooms. It's got like a secret compartment to get to the hidden room in the back, because, and a couple of people, so this dude who lived across the street came down. He's like, oh, what do you got here? And all this stuff. He's like, oh, it looks bigger than what it is. We're like, oh, yeah, structurally, all this. But the secret was we had a secret room in the back you could get through this back. Because, you're 14 and you do stupid shit like that. So I remember just hanging out down there, and of course we had what everybody had back then was a boom box and an FM radio, and you would be playing, at the time I'm going to say might have been WCOZ, but I want to say it was probably WBCN. And, I just remember, all of a sudden, we heard like... And we were like, I remember being just absolutely smitten with Shook Me All Night Long. I mean, that tune, that was the first single. The first single that came out was You Shook Me All Night Long. And man, it was huge. It was huge. That single was so friggin' big. I'm trying to think of the second single, but that was pretty much by the beginning of August, the middle of August, You Shook Me All Night Long was pretty much the song of the summer. It had taken over. A few weeks earlier, the song of the summer had started out to be Everybody Wants Some, or Van Halen's, the other big one at the time was Cradle Will Rock. Cradle Will Rock, if I could get that out. And Everybody Wants Some. Those were two huge songs from the spring. But I'm telling you, when friggin' You Shook Me All Night Long came out, it just, in terms of radio play, it just crushed them. That song got so friggin' huge on the radio. It was massive. Yeah, COZ, right, John? Where'd we steal the lumber from? A lot of us had lumber around our house. We definitely, almost certainly stole some from the cemetery. You know, man, there's a source right there. But a lot of us had lumber around our house, and it didn't take, too long before people were able to. In fact, one guy came down and was like, you stole that from us. We're like, no, we didn't. And he's like, oh, that plywood came from my... No, it didn't. It says right here, it's from my dad. And he's like, oh, wait, you're right. No, sorry. Actually, this is pretty good, guys. This looks pretty good. I'm drunk. The second single was Back in Black, yeah. I remember the first one. Now, set the stage from when this album comes out. I totally remember, cut to a year earlier, I had heard for the first time Highway to Hell. I had a friend of mine, get the cassette, and he was trying to make a copy of it. And I said, dude, I literally have one of those dual cassette players I didn't have a dual cassette. I had two cassette players that I had connected with wires. I didn't have a dual cassette player, but you know what I'm saying. So bring it over and we'll do this. And he brought it over, and I made a tape for him, and he couldn't believe how good it sounded. And I was like, yeah. And I said, I'm going to make a copy for me. He had to sit there in real time, but who cares? This is like 1979. And so we both knew this kid, Tommy, he was a hot shot. Anyway, Tommy, he came up to me, and he was like, he goes, did you hear the new AC/DC? I'm like, no. He goes, it sucks. The guy just does nothing but scream. Think about that, right? He's like, I hate the new singer. But I cut to a year later, and he loved them because the songs were really strong, and but you could understand that immediate reaction, right? Couldn't you kind of understand that immediate reaction to Brian Johnson after listening? I mean, he was a fan of AC/DC, and now here comes this new singer, and it was like, not exactly the same, which AC/DC has said we didn't want to be the same. We could have had somebody who was the same, and we wanted to go with someone different. So, yeah, the first one, and then the whole thing about that tune is it's not on the downbeat. I used to school kids who would come into the music store and they'd go, right? And then they go, I'd be like, no, it's on the upbeat. Down, right? There's a little and. Right, if you look at the tab for it, or the sheet music, you'll see a tiny rest, right? It's endum, right? It's not right on, and it's not, it's just slightly different, but it makes a huge difference. Took us a while to warm up to Brian. Bon was damn good. Bon was not just a good singer, but Highway to Hell, arguably up to that point, was their best album. right? I mean, had their biggest single to date with Highway to Hell, had songs like, you know, such amazing songs and lyrics and just melodies. That whole album was a friggin' masterpiece. I put that in my list of AC/DC albums. I actually put Highway to Hell just slightly above Back in Black. There's something about it. I just like that album. It's, you know, I mean, there's so many good songs on that record. Anyway, so I could see it. You know, I could see the people not embracing Brian. But my God, talk about coming out of the gate with guns blazing. I mean, that album was just a masterpiece. So, like all good forts, it went down a blaze of glory. All good forts eventually are lit on fire. I mean, that's just the way, that's the life of a fort, okay? And when does it get lit on fire? Sometime in the winter, sometime over the winter. We had gone pretty far into the winter with the fort, probably through the fall of 81. The fort was pretty big, and then I want to say it was probably like March or April of 81. It didn't survive the spring, and it was and I think I got a Honda 50 that year, right? 49cc. So I had new things to do. Trying to catch up with my introduction to AC/DC was Brian. Didn't hear Bond until maybe the mid-90s. Yeah, it really does depend on that, right? If all you know, right, it's like, right, if you only know the new guy first, then it's the old guy is the one who sounds weird, right? But, we were fully into Highway to Hell. I mean, that song had done a lot of airplay. And what was so funny is that when Back in Black got so huge in 81, there was a rise of the Dirty Deeds album, right? They did a U.S. re-release of Dirty Deeds done dirt cheap. And there was a novelty single of Big Balls that got kind of big in 81, and it's like, because I think people were starved for AC/DC content. I remember that was either 81 or 82. I think it was 81 that they did a re-release of that in the States, or a release. Maybe it had never even been in the States, and it was sort of an import album. I'm not even sure. And then so let me just take a little look here. All right, let's do. Let's just go quickly through the songs of Back in Black. We can do this in probably 10 minutes. Ready? So here's straight up Back in Black. You're on an E, D, A, and then it's just really it's an E pentatonic, and then he just bends. Right? Lately, if this doesn't have a very tall fret, so I just hammer it. And you got to get to that E on the one. for that E. And this is just climbing. Really, it's, I mean, but it's easier. Right, but it's really this note, same note. And you're just climbing up. In fact, back in the 80s, a lot of us would play it like this. And those little bends, I think, are key. Don't play it so static. I almost feel like those tiny little micro bends. What else we got? All right, giving the dog a bone. I don't even think I know that one. Let me take a look at here. Right, so it's doing like so it's basically like, it's almost like Whole Lot of Rosie. But it, something like that. Giving the dog a bone. And what's the song after that? Oh yeah, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Yeah, that's like E, so 1-0. Then like A, so 2-2, and then I would almost call that like a B minor, but I guess you could call it also G major, right? So first on the G, open B, 2, and then 4 and 3. Right. And then there's the trick, right? You go from here to this G, do a little bend, and then open. All right, there you go. That's probably enough to avoid copyright. Oh, have a drink on me. Is it? Am I hitting that right? Is it and then I see a triplet, and then 7, and then 7, and then 5, and then 7, and then open. It's like you almost have to sing it a little bit. And then that's just that very typical minor, A minor, and then adding the third major. But of course you have this little G in here to make it a dominant 7. I mean, that's in 1,000 songs, right? Rolling Stones, you know. So anyway, so it's right. And then I think it's gonna go like probably yeah, then to like the D over A. I'd have to listen to that passage a little more closely. That's what I want to play, but I know that's not right. I'd have to listen to it again. Moving on. That's a good one, though. Oh, Hell's Bells. So Hell's Bells, when we learned it back in the 80s, and this transcript is completely different. We learned it down here. Right, that's how we learned it. Of course, that's how they're showing it here. They're showing it with that open E. When you watch Angus play it, it's always right here. He doesn't play it down here at all. Every time I've seen him play it live, he's played it up here. Right, this is... So I would do it up here. So that octave in the 5th, the 4th, and the minor 3rd. So that's 1, 7, and 9, 7, 5, 7. I think we're halfway through. All right, let me put my love into you. I forgot about that one. So what are we showing here? All right, so this is obviously an E minor. There's your E minor chord. Sound familiar? So that's just an open E, that E there on the 7th fret, then the minor 3rd, which is this G, 5th fret of the D string. Right, so that's 0, 7, 5, 0, 5, 4. go back and forth between those. There you go. We're cranking right through them. Oh, shake a leg. Shake a leg is that almost like a... I'm trying to think of shake a leg. On the street. Yeah, there's a riff. There's a riff that I'm not seeing here. What's the riff? I gotta think it's thought I saw a little slidey riff right here. Way to go. Yeah, so that's obviously E. Right? Then 4. Back to E. Fakes you out. You think he's going to go to something else. Back to E. But then 4. The double 2 on the A string. Then slide to 5 and double 4 on the A string. And then slide to 7 and double 5 on the A string. Time E 4 4. It's probably, it sounds like it's almost 3 bend to 4. They're showing for, I must say, slide up and slide to 4 and 2, 5 and 4, and then 5 and 7 and 5. All right. See, you can now officially be an AC/DC. Once you go through this course, you will receive a certificate worth framing. And you can tell your friends, I was almost an AC/DC. Well, that's easy. That's E, G. Right? And then just D, A. I feel like I'm out. And then it looks like it's, what are they doing? Yeah, right. He likes to sneak around those. He likes to do that little sneak. So how's he doing? He's going, Okay. So, all right, well, that's pretty easy. That's E, D, and then really it's A, but they really call it like a D5 over a C sharp bass, which is what it is. It's really an A major, but let's just for the sake of argument call it a D major triad over a C sharp bass, because technically that is what it is. Right? Here's your E, here's your D, here's your D over a C sharp bass, then G, big fat G chord that they always do, and then this standard D chord with the G sharp in the bass. Great chord, very commonly used. You know, so it's. There's the tricky part. That one. All right, you gotta go. Don't wait around. Just get the hell out of there. Right back up. There you go. What do we got up next? Oh, a classic. You Shook Me All Night Long. Now here's your standard opening. I like to just do, just so you, I like the top 4 strings, the D string open, the G string open, the D string hit, and on the 3rd fret, and hear what I did there? I went. Here, listen to it again. Right? So you start with this G. Little up to. This is all in the right hand, just picking that D chord. Right, you got to go up to the G and then back down to the D. Right, you know. Let's move on to a classic. Shoot the Trill. Shoot the Trill. All right, so this is one of the greatest openings, I think, of any song. It's just such a badass opening. You know, it really is. And it's probably, I might even go out to say that this might be my favorite song on the album. You Shoot the Thrill, you know? I mean, just what a bad opening. And that's just pretty simple. It's an A chord. It's all about the rhythm on that one. show. Let me see if they show a different rhythm for. Let's do the turnaround. So where are they? Let me just see what they're doing here. Okay, come on, put your hand. Really? It's an E7 sharp 9, really? Right, G, I get that. Fun fact, it's also with the Motley Crue song. God, that's all I'm hearing, right? But this predated that by 7 years. Yeah, that's crazy that they have a. That's basically the Hendrix score. That's too funny. I had no idea. I forgot that was the. I probably went. No one knew. It was just probably an echo. Can't help but do that. I think that's it. I think that's the whole friggin' album. Did I miss a song? Shoot the Trill? No, I think that's it. There you go. And there you have it. And that's AC/DC in a nutshell. And I'm back. Yeah, kickstart my heart, exactly. I guess I'm done with my coffee. Apparently I blew right through it. Yeah, the Hendrix chord. Hendrix pretty much owns that. So September that year comes, and I swear this was almost exactly the same guitar that I had, same color, same pickups, DiMarzio Super Distortions. Pretty much everything was the same, except I think the guy who I bought mine from had changed the tuners. These are the stock tuners. He changed them to Grover's. Grover tuners. Oh, beating around the bush. That's a tough one. Sounds like, do you want to slide? I think they hammer. Next week, Iron Maiden's Power Slave. Did it come out that week? Yeah. Who ripped off another AC/DC tune off of? Yeah. Friggin' Crew. Ivan has 2350, says John Doe. That makes sense. When will there be a rundown of Women and Children First track rundown? I know, we should do one. Well, we missed it. That anniversary, I want to say, was in April, right? When did Women and Children First come out? I want to say it was like April or May. God, I remember like that spring. It was like right after school got out. It was like the last day of school. And being out for the summer. And meeting like along the riverbanks, like behind the old age home. Because again, we had been skating up the river all spring. We'd found these little places to go, these little places to hide. And we had Heineken beers. And I remember on the radio hearing, you know, yeah, that sounds right. The star tuning keys. Everybody is a star. Baker says, I think it was March. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. No, not Heineken, Doc. Heineken regular. And I'm sure we had no cooler. They were sitting in a cardboard. The only way you could cool them down is you just leave it in the cardboard for as long as you can before you pull it out. They're pretty warm beer pretty quickly. It's so freaking warm out. You know, we're kids. Please do Powerage, yeah. I don't know if I know, let me see here. Do I have Powerage? No. High Voltage, Highway to Hell, Let There Be Rock, Razor's Edge, Anthology, that could cover a lot. And Highway to Hell. I think I have two versions. What's on High Voltage? Oh, yeah. A Long Way to Rock if you want to rock it. And what's that? And then, of course, and what do we have here? They needed more tap harmonics, okay? Oh, yeah. That's mostly an instrumental. I don't think I know that. Anyway. I'm back to the chat. Coffee. Just checking the driveway. We're out at the beach. Nice top there, hot shot. It did come out nice with the new bridge. The Godo was a direct drop right in. And of course the DiMarzios. find a DS88. I swear to God, I actually did. I found a DS88 for $650, and it was at Guitar Center, so I could throw it on a credit card. I didn't have to come up with $650 cash, which is a little tricky right now. Disposable income. So I was like, let me do that, and then I could just sell a guitar or two or whatever, and, whatever. And I bought it, and the next day I got an email saying, we're sorry, that unit actually sold before you bought it, and it's no longer available, and we'll refund your money. Have a great day. I was like, damn, you cut me real deep. You cut me real deep right there. I mean, $650, $649. It was $721 with tax and shipping. That's pretty cheap for that. What's so funny is that it was at the Fort Worth North store, right? So there's two stores in Fort Worth, Texas. Fort Worth North and Fort Worth. And so they had a DS88 in Fort Worth North, the north one, for $649, and none at the other one. Then they said it sold to somebody in the store. And then the next day, one showed up on the other one, not the north one, but the regular Fort Worth one, for $8.99 used. I was like, imagine that. So suddenly sold, and miraculously, a brand new one, not a brand new one, but a used one appeared in the store closest to the store that sold out of it. It's crazy. Who would have thought? Thanks, Ken. The problem is, and I appreciate it, the problem is the cash. I'd have to dump something to come up with some cash, right? The thing about the Guitar Center one is I could just throw it on a credit card, and it was, I mean, when do you see a DS88? A DS88, They actually had a DS61 for like $519 or something, but again, it was gone like lightning fast. I keep reaching for my coffee. There's nothing in it. I'm not gonna. It's 8:20. I don't think I'm gonna go make one now. Guitar Center card, no interest. Yeah. Ken says we can work something out. I'm flexible. That's cool. It's just it's a little tricky. It's been a little tricky lately. We've had with not COVID, but it's it's been a little tricky. We'll just leave it at that. Oh, hey, what's up, Six String Brian? Yeah, we're doing okay. What's up, Pacifica? Guitar Center does some shady stuff sometimes. Yeah, I know, right? It's like, I don't know. It did feel a little weird that it was suddenly gone out of the north one, but the next closest store suddenly had one the next day, like literally the next day. It's like, for $250 more, right? $8.99, right? So $6.50, $7.50, $8.50, $8.99. Sounds to me like, it was worth another the $250 for them to just quickly move it to another store and say it's sold internally. She's like, "Oh, it's sold internally, and our internal systems don't talk with our online systems, and sometimes we have an internal sale, and it doesn't show up on the online systems yet. If someone bought it online, it would have shown up instantly, but because it was an internal store sale, it didn't show up, and so you were able to buy it even though it had already been sold." I was like, "That's no." I said, "Understood, not a problem. I never make problems. I mean, sometimes I do, but it's got to be pretty bad." And then I I make them pay in blood. What's up, Sassy Cat? I need a bigger vessel. I know, right? Just pump it in my veins. Hey Steve, what amp tones are you using? Sounds great. I'm using the THU, and I'm using patch number 13, my standard patch. In the description down below, if you have THU, I have that patch bank. Just remember, it's not a patch, it's a patch bank. Because so many people were emailing me saying, "Dude, it doesn't work. It doesn't work." I'm like, "Well, are you loading it into patches? Or are you loading it into patch bank?" And they're like, "Oh, patches." I'm like, "Try patch bank." And they're like, "That worked. I'm sorry." It is. It's a whole bank of patches. Oh, thanks, Scar, my guitar. Much appreciated, man. Much appreciated. Love you too, man. Really appreciate that. Having some Seattle's best right now watching a little French roast. Well, we had a little trouble because they ran out of French roast at Costco, and they're not carrying their normal blends. And so we had to get this, weak blend. I did not like it. It was just a little too brown. I like my beans really dark, and these were pretty light, and I'm not a fan. I don't like the blonde blends like that. So, back to normal. They got the Starbucks back in, and everything's back to normal again. You're an Ibanez guitar guy for sure. I'm not, not totally, but I Ibanez, Fender, Kramer, those. I'm a big fan of Kramer. I really am. And Vola, quite frankly, but Vola's, I just haven't had as much time to collect them as I have Ibanez. Just getting stuck. I've been collecting Ibanez for 30 years. Watchman says, "Sounds fishy to me." Yeah, I thought it was a little weird. Are they marking prices up where you are, Steve? You know what? It's... I'm not seeing great deals. I'll say this: inventory's way down. Okay, like on Guitar Center used, normally they would have around 1,000 Strats. A low count for Strats would be around 900. I think they have under 500 now, maybe even under 400 now. That's how low the stock is. So when stock is down, prices go up because there's not as much competition. So right now, normally Guitar Center would have about between 49 and 52,000 items. They have about 23,000 items. So with that little stock. That said, I will say I've been looking at the keyboards on there, like the Modi X. Those things don't last 24 hours. They go up, boom, they are gone. The keyboard market is really volatile and very hot. I see a lot of Junos go up there, boom, gone. Anything decently priced seems to be gone in a friggin' nanosecond. Maybe a little surprisingly quick in some cases. Steve, opinion about Harley Benton? I really like Harley Benton. You know, I have the single cut with the P90s, and that's a very, very inexpensive guitar, and it plays, you know, fine. I mean, there's just really nothing wrong with it. You could see it had a dent on the back of the headstock where they were working it, and they just filled it in. So cosmetically, it's not 100% perfect, but you know, it's a guitar that's under $200 delivered. Hard to argue with that. And then I have one of their nice ones, their Fusion 2s, with like the roasted flame maple and all that. That's a gorgeous guitar. Stainless steel frets, beautiful Floyd Rose. That's just a genuinely nice guitar. And I think they're like $450, something like that. Really, really inexpensive. Hey, what's up, Ricky? 30 years, yeah, makes it easy, exactly. Steve, have you played any Marshall DSL amps? I did, I have. I've played the DSL 20 and the DSL 40, and they both sounded good. I haven't played like the big heads, though. The 540R is the birth of the SOT 390. Pretty much, right? That, right, thick on one side. It's almost like a little bit of a wedge body if you looked at it like lengthwise. Like my woman, like my coffee, dark and strong, yeah. I tell you, I really don't like the light coffees. Not a fan. You know, I like a robust blend. Hell, you can't even find strings. Nobody has inventory. I wouldn't doubt that. It's a little tricky. Joyce, people will start selling soon. It's a cyclical waiting game on buying. I agree. And there are still deals to be had out there. They had and I almost bought it, but I was just like, I can't do it. Not like right now. Circumstances would say that would be incredibly foolish to go out and drop any money on a guitar right now. But especially, I mean, the one thing I don't need is another friggin' guitar. That said, it was like a Fender Classic 50s Strat. You know, it was the candy apple red with the single ply finger pickguard, maple, you know, one-piece maple neck, V-neck, the classic tuners, all that. It was a Classic 50s, but they didn't have it as listed as a Classic 50s. They just had it listed as a red Strat, and it was up for $349. That guitar is $899 all day long. It's like that's a $799 on sale. So I was like, that's a pretty good price on that. But I, stared at it and said, there's no way you can buy it. If I was going to buy anything, I'd get a keyboard, right? That's the one thing I kind of would like that's really more where my head's been at lately. Because I just have so many guitars. It's like the need isn't in another guitar, which would almost certainly be a somewhat overlapping duplicate of that which I already own. There's only so much variation out there. Steve, do you still have any Squier guitars? I still have the Squier Telly, right? The classic vibe Squier Telly. And not all guitar centers are open, so inventory is only for what's open. Is that true? Because I thought they were all open for shipping. Like, I know what you're saying, like maybe not in-store shopping, but I thought they were still doing they would be open for online in just about every state. But again, my state's got it under control. States down south, it really seems to be exploding. I wouldn't doubt if they just put a kibosh on that, because it's been so spiking down in what's the big hot spots are what, like Florida, Alabama, Texas, California, Arizona, right? They're having big spikes. So I wouldn't doubt if they went back into a closeout. We'll see. Harley Benton is doing headless guitars. Yeah, I saw that. They do a headless. They're always, right, they're doing something. They make something that looks like another. The whole thing about Harley Benton is to take, like, classic designs and just make a low-cost alternative to them. Morning, Steve from Queensland, Australia. Good morning. Sailor Mike says, finally got a Fender HT Strat directly from Fender. Yeah, Squire, you know, Susie says, you can always use another guitar. Yeah, I know. No, I think right now I'm a little more focused on the keyboard. I think I'd get more joy out of the keyboard than another guitar. That guitar would have to be pretty damn awesome, which I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's less likely right now. They're out at the beach. I got to keep an eye on the driveway. The mini LP is not getting enough on airplay. We need more mini LP. You know what? I think you're right on that. In fact, I want to do. I cleaned out this whole area over here. My God, what a project that was! But a buddy of mine came by earlier. He's like, I can't believe this is all cleaned out. I'm like, right? He's like, I love the rug. I'm like, right? So, I really want to do some work on it. The guy who sent me the guitar was actually so awesome. He sent me a set of tuners for it. And he's like, these tuners are a direct fit, but they're like light years. They're like real tuners. They're not the junk that comes on it. These are like modern tuners that they make to like really nice tight specs, but they're a direct replacement. So they look like crap because they'll look the same, but they're nice. They're new, and they're much better. And I think they're made by All Parts. So that would be the nice project for that guitar. Would be to get the new tuners on it, you know, and because that's the hardest thing about that thing. The tuners are the weakest link in the whole thing. I was at Guitar Center 2 weeks ago, no problem here, just limited to in-store customers. Yeah, we are back to in-stores okay, but you have to wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask around here anyway, you'll probably be bludgeoned to death. People around here, they're not. They're like, what's wrong with you? Don't you endanger my children? People they don't want to hear it. Got blackjack across the head. People are getting more and more about the. Costco had the boxes, $20 for a box of 50. I grabbed a couple of boxes last time I was there. You know. See you, Yeti. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in Europe. It's really late for you. I appreciate you staying up. Have a great one. Hey, Steve, it's midwinter down here. That's how I miss the winter. Can't wait for the winter. I'm already looking forward to my first frost. Seriously, I like the cold. Steve, it's midwinter down here in Auckland, New Zealand. Just bought my first keyboard, a small Casio 61 key. Nice. I recently you want to hear a funny thing? I recently found a synthesizer model of the old Casio CZ, like 101, you know, or it might have been even the CZ1, the nicer one with more operators, right? It had like 2 oscillators or 4 oscillators instead of 2. And oh my God, it was bringing me back. It did really sound like those old Casio CZs. Those sounded awesome, those old synths. All Parts actually put out some on a Japanese V earlier this year. Yeah, All Parts make some decent. They make some decent stuff. Their replacement parts are pretty good. Businesses are starting to refuse people here. Oh yeah, up here there's signs in almost every window: no mask, no service, just like it used to be. And we had a big pushback here with the shirts and the shoes when the health department came out in the mid '70s, because people used to walk around here. I mean, God, it's Cape Cod, you know, it's beach town, right? People walking in stores with no shoes and no shirt. I mean, come on, that was pretty standard when I was growing up, and that they had to put the kibosh on that. It's pretty much the same thing, you know. Just go find a store that will let you in without the mask, and you'll be fine. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. At least around here. I'm sure there are plenty of places that'll do it, but not around here. What happened last week? Did you have flooding from the rain? Outside was flooded, but we did not get flooding down here. I could not believe it. We really just, I don't know. I did get the downspouts opened and flushed out, and my backyard was like a pond, but apparently the ground was dry enough and absorbent enough, and it really never, and the pump was going off, but we didn't have the crazy. I mean, we've had a lot of rain. You know, I told you when we had the big flood, they came back and they actually did an actual assessment on it, because once you ask for federal money, they have to say, well, how badly was it flooded? And they came back and they said it was 7 inches of rain in 45 minutes. And they're like, okay, that's a lot. Matthew says, my brother still has an original Yamaha DX7 synth and a Roland Jupiter 8. I had the Jupiter 4 or Jupiter 6. Might have been the Jupiter 6. I did not have the 8. And I never had a DX7, though I wanted one bad. If I was going to get one now, I'd probably get the DX7 2, like FD. Whatever that, the DX7 2 will load all the sounds of the DX7. Quite frankly, I'd get a Modi X, because a Modi X can literally load any sound from the DX7. Right? They have a SysX converter to convert it to any 6X. SysX from a DX7 can be converted to a Modi X patch and loaded in the Modi X. Just get that. I have a working DX7 until I broke the circuit board into. Well, that'll do it. It's your problem right there. That giant crack right down the middle, that'll do it. Our Baker, it's so dry here, it's crazy. Everyone's yards are burnt from the sun. Yeah, we were in a drought for a while. And I was like, oh, God, we need the rain so bad. Come on, rain, come on, rain. Then it was like, no, too much rain, too much rain. I mean, I showed you the video footage. It was like a friggin', my front yard, the street was like a river. It had mud in it. I was like, oh, my God. Yeah, it was really bad. Yeah, the DX7s were well made. Yeah. And one of the best-selling synthesizers, I think, until, I don't know that the D50 eclipsed it, but the Korg M1 was the best-selling keyboard of all time. And then after that, software synths came out, and no synthesizer ever quite reached that status again. Mandatory max is unconstitutional? No. All it needs is a rational relationship to some sort of civic. They've done that. No, there is no constitutional right not to wear one. They could absolutely. It's been litigated. Anything that's come out, the state has come up with. People always scream it's unconstitutional, but as long as you're not discriminating against a person, or you're not, right? As long as masks are mandatory for everyone, right? Not just certain people, it'll absolutely go right through constitutional muster. Because any local place can determine their own rules, especially for health. Almost certainly for health. Look up the rational relations standard. It's almost never overturned. The tiniest sliver of basis is enough to pass constitutional muster. It's only when it gets into like gender issues or especially race issues, then yeah. Then you're in trouble. Yeah, the M1 ruled, right? The M1 was the king. That thing was I tell you, man, that thing was a beast. They sold, I think I heard that they sold 800,000 DX7s. That was the number that was thrown around. So how many M1s did they sell? 1,000,000? It's the best selling one. It's got to be 1,000,000, right? Applying Blinded by the Light and the Synth. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I know that one. I should learn a bunch of synth songs, though. It'd be fun. It's much harder for me to play synth, though, without a doubt, than guitar. Not even close. It says right on the mask box, it does not prevent COVID-19. Yeah, well, that was written by the lawyer. I mean, come on. You can't make a promise like that. No, the whole thing is it's to prevent you from spewing out, not from you getting in. Right? That's why they're forcing it on people, because we know. And it's a very simple thing. Take a spray bottle and spray, right? Look at that, the spray that comes out. Hold a T-shirt up on a hanger and spray it. Almost nothing comes out the other side. That's a friggin' T-shirt, let alone a mask. I mean, so I think that there is something that's, and people are like, oh, well, the virus is so small, it can easily fit through. Yeah, viruses don't go out just as a virus itself. Viruses are so microscopic. They stow aboard things that are thousands of times larger than they are, namely droplets, water droplets, and those can be stopped. So sure, the virus can easily go through the mask, but viruses don't just go out by themselves. That's not the way viruses work. Viruses hitch rides. They stow away on the water, the saliva that comes out of your mouth and hangs to the aerosol. It can aerosolize without a doubt. When you cough, or especially if you sneeze, it's coming out in all these tiny little droplets, and they're not heavy enough to be immediately drawn to the floor, so they can hang in the air for a little bit. So it's really to prevent the outflow, not so much the inflow. And the reality is that we know that there's a reason why hospital workers use them. Right? Hey, what's up, PDX Guitar Freak? Well, you don't have to wear one, Watchman, but just don't think you're going to walk into a grocery store around here. If you walked into a grocery store, there'd be a dude at the door going, "Turn around, bro. We're a private company, and you don't have a right to walk." And people do. They walk in, they're like, "I'm allergic to masks. I have a condition that prevents me from wearing a mask." They're like, "We don't care. Get out and send a representative over here. You're not walking in here without a mask." So they're getting more and more militant around here. And again, my state has one of the lowest rates right now. Like, absolutely pummeled through the floor, the rates around here. And, whatever the governor's doing in this state, it's going pretty well. We're one of the lowest rates in the nation. So His plan seems to be working. What's up, PDX? What year is the Ibby? This, I think, is a 70. It's either going to be a 6 or a 7. Well, hold on, let me see. It's a 7. 1977. Good year. I was 11 that year. Steve, how do you do those rolling harmonics? It's pretty easy. You just do some sort of a trill. You know, and you mute it right with your hand. Then you move the mute down, right? And that works pretty much anywhere. It was one of the worst when we had it. Baker as a joke. Well, you know, Baker comes from Partners Healthcare. I take trust in him more than just about anyone else. Right? That guy came from the healthcare industry. And what happened with us is we had someone come in from Europe, right? And what did they do? They went to that Biogen conference. That's where the guy from my town got it from. He was at that same conference, right? So it was like COVID was this like magical fantasy thing that just, appeared somewhere. It was all the way over in Seattle. It's over in Seattle. It's in Seattle, right? This was like the first week of March. I got a robocall from the town saying the town manager and including the school superintendent, were exposed to like COVID-19. They both got it. They both came down with it. They both exhibited symptoms. In fact, the town manager was in a little trouble, I think, for a little while. He was in rough shape, but he pulled through. But no, we had a super spreader event. We had that friggin' Biogen conference. And then the other one was that dude up in New Hampshire. He had just come back from Italy. He was exhibiting symptoms. He had an Uber driver drive him to the hospital. They didn't have a test for COVID then because it was too early. It was like late February. And they were like, you could have COVID-19, this like new thing. And he was like, I doubt it. And they recommended he quarantine himself. He went to a mixer. The Uber driver got it. Like everybody at the mixer got it. It's like, the thing about COVID, unlike anything I've ever seen in my lifetime, is just how fast it spreads. It spreads real friggin' fast. Like butter. Like this guitar. It's got a nice neck. Yeah, they should have canceled the Biogen. I mean, so many things. God. But he didn't know at the time, right? At the time, we didn't think Europe was a place where it was happening. Because, again, the lag time. Right? And then there was a bunch of kids who went to like Italy on vacation because it was just February vacation. I mean, most of the stuff we got in our area was from there. And what did they do? They shut the schools down. They shut everything down. They put it on lockdown. And as of right now, after it peaked, and it totally peaked, we have been down. I mean, our numbers have really bottomed out. I mean, what did we have? Like 200 new cases? In 24 hours, we were up to something like 1,200 new cases a day at one point, or like 1,500 new cases at one point. So, I mean, I'd say that so far they seem to have it somewhat under control as much as you can. You know, it's really just going to depend on people. Yeah, but of course, any mask is going to say, no mask is going to say this is going to protect you, because then they're going to be sued when it doesn't, right? They can't make that claim, and no lawyer would allow it. Safe to say winter NAMM will not exist? I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I don't know how they would ever, especially where California just had that spike again, right? So, and the spike was in, I thought, the Los Angeles County area, right? Because they wanted stores to open back up, and they did, and they had a big spike again, because that's what happens. And so I doubt it. I mean, I think I would skip it anyway. I don't think I'd go. It'd probably be the cheapest one. I could see like the hotels being like some of the lowest prices ever to go like this year. But even still, just double checking the driveway. But even still, I don't think I'd go this year. I might skip a year and just go in 2022, you know, because I think they'd have a better handle on it. I almost think I don't think it would. I almost think it wouldn't happen at this point. You got to remember, I want to say that it holds about 100,000 people, and about 100,000 people go through a day. You know, it's a lot of people. It's an enormous event. It's, you know, 5 football fields. Like, each of those halls is about the size of a football field, and there's 5 halls. It's a lot. Steve, have you reviewed the Spark amp? I have. It is on my channel. Music says nope, winter NAMM is over, maybe 2022, or there could be a second wave. Yeah, I have a hard time thinking that they would allow it, just because the venue is so large. And like, if you're the NAMM show and they're like, okay, you can open up at 20% of capacity, do you do it at that? I don't know that it's even worth it. I think you lose your shirt. You're better off not to hold it at all. Chalk it up to insurance, you know, or something. I don't know. So, and the same thing like with what was it, the Dallas? I love the Dallas Guitar Show. Love the Dallas. Love that show. That might be one of my favorite shows of the year, is the Dallas International Guitar Festival. It's supposed to be the first week of May. And they moved it, and when they moved it, they said, like, one of the founding members not only caught COVID, but caught COVID and died. Like, they're like, it's really serious, because, you know, this guy who we all love and is, like, a big part of this, yeah, he died from COVID. And that's when we realized it was really serious. And so they moved it to July 31st, August 1st, and August 2nd. They just moved it again to September. I suspect, again, just because Texas has had another spike, I suspect that they're not going to allow it when the date rolls around. Maybe I'm wrong, but, you know, that's a pretty big building, and they do pack it with a lot of people. And if they don't have a mask mandate in place, then I don't know that people are going to feel safe enough to go in there and walk around. You know, I'm sure some people will, but maybe not the numbers you need to make it profitable, right? I mean, what good is having an event if everyone stays home? Does the EB play as well as a Les Paul's better? Yeah, you know, they all play. This one has a pretty small, a fairly slim neck. This is like a 60s style. This has a 60s style neck for sure. Steve from did you notice here I got a Schecter Sun Valley Super Shredder 3? Yeah? Sorry, it's going a little fast on me. I'm going to back up a hair. I did not know. You got Super Shredder 3 EMG pickups in it? Is that what that is? EMG passives or the EMG actives? I forget now. Does it have the Sustainiac in it? The Sustainer? You should watch Henning's new video. He's having a pajama party with Kiana. Yeah, I did see that actually. Kiss riffs. What do I know for a Kiss? This has DiMarzio Super Distortion pickups in it. Someone asked about the pickups. DiMarzios, you got your Super Distortions. Yeah, right there. At one time, this guitar and that guitar were the same color. This one here, if I could turn my thumb. But that's what 77 to present gets you, and that's what 2020 to present gets you. Hey, what's up, Showman Blues? Cancel my Spark order, got tired of the shipping date. Yeah, well, I think COVID screwed it up too. EMG retroactive, so they are active. Are they an active pickup? Yeah. Got me an Epi Les Paul custom, nice. Not happy with the pickups though. Maybe some Pearly Gates thoughts. I like Pearly Gates. I also like, you know what? You could just get straight up a set of Gibson burst buckers, you know, but they might be a little bright for you. I also like the like these DiMarzio Super Distortions. I think they sound great. And I also am a fan of the JB and Jazz combo. Well, you know, these are DiMarzios. DiMarzios. Yeah, it's a rosewood neck. So that's the only bummer is that they use a dark rosewood, but you don't get ebony. That actually, this one here actually has ebony. You know, on the Epi. The Epi actually is an ebony fingerboard, which I think looks better. I'm kind of a fan of the block and the rosewood. I mean, it works, but it's got to be dark rosewood or I don't know. It doesn't work for me. Yellowing is just something normal for that age. Oh, it's absolutely normal. I think it's from ultraviolet light, right? Isn't that what causes it? I think it's UV light, and I don't think it can be polished out. Pretty sure. And if you did, it would probably be very uneven. Sandemus JB in the bridge, 59 in the neck. That is actually a pretty good combo. That'd be good in the Les Paul too. A combination of the JB in the bridge and the 59 in the neck. That's a good combo. I do like those 59s. Bobby's a huge fan of the 59, the Seymour Duncan 59. You know, JB or Super Distortion. I don't know. You know, the Super Distortions. You know, I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of hot. They're hot shot. But I do like them. Pretty good sound. Yeah, Electro Omega says ultraviolet light. I think you're right. I think it's ultraviolet light. I think that's what does it. Didn't realize how hot the 59 is. They are nice. Yeah, you know, the 59, it's not the hottest pickup out there, but it's not the weakest either. It, you know, Yeah, he says UV light or heat, the only way to reverse it would be to refinish it. I think you're right. I think once they start to yellow, it's not like the yellowing of plastics, which is a little different. Those, like, sometimes you can get, like, you can retrobrite them, and you put them in like a hydrogen peroxide solution with some heat, and warm it up out in the sun or whatever. And believe it or not, it can actually take the yellow out of like old plastics. There's a bunch of YouTube videos about it, but I don't think that's gonna work with this. What pickups are in the cabinets? These are DiMarzio Super Distortions, and relatively new ones. These are purchased 2015. Was it 2015 I did this project, or was it 2016? I want to say 2015, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. Anyway, well, not in the driveway yet, but we're at 9 o'clock, and my family probably wants me to unleash them from lockdown. So we should be calling it a night. And awesome hanging out. I should be back in the week. And I should have some videos coming out this week. I got a video coming out about this stuff real soon, the X-Tone stuff. It's one of the boxes. It's basically an interface for your laptop or PC, but it's got a bunch of buttons on it, so you can use it like like a little switcher too. So it's sort of like a guitar player oriented interface, right? Unlike the Focusrite, which is more generic. It's like really made more for like guitar players, so that's pretty cool. What else? In other stuff. That's the one. And I have my studio tour coming out real soon, so stay tuned for that. And there you go. No. You rock. All right, dudes. Thanks so much for hanging out. Super extra thanks to anyone who contributed. Much thanks. Really appreciate it. Super thanks to the mods. And we'll see you in a week. I missed last week, but it happens. It happens. All right, dudes. No, you rock. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. And I'll see you in a week. And until then, rock on. Later.